On air and online at theticketfm.com. This is On the Block with Strick and Bob. Hold up.
Oh, we are on the block here. I'm Jake Bockoven. He is Erick Strickland. We do this every day from 4 to 6. You like my little Colin Cowherd entrance there? He always goes, oh! I tried it out. What do you think, Strick? Am I the future Colin Cowherd?
Yeah, you're on your way, baby. You got just a little bit more time on the block, and then we'll let you go off and do your own thing. Because, see, what you do regularly is on Thursdays, I see you already plotting and scheming to get me out of there already and have the Jake Bockoven and Cowherd show.
That's right. We just we need at least one segment where it's just me and I can say, oh, the other's technical problems. I don't know what we can do about it. But we are glad to have you, Strick, in here. And as always, it's kind of fun in the Ticket Water Cool segment. And we were going to bring up this stuff anyways, but we were kind of running through our favorite wide receivers in Nebraska the last 20 years. They're not favorite necessarily, even the best. Do you have any thoughts on your favorite one? That doesn't even have to be the last 20 years, but if you had to suit up tomorrow in their prime, which Husker wide receiver do you think you'd start with?
Well, I thought Kenny Bell was fun. I just love that he did a lot of different things. Obviously, you go back in time, from the Osborne time frame. They had some good ones. They just, they blocked better than they were able to catch the ball. But when they were called on to catch the ball, they did some wonderful things like Abdul Muhammad, and Cluster Johnson. Obviously, I gotta shout him out. He had some big catches and some big moments. But I think I it was just something about the fro. I just really liked Kenny Bell. I just thought, he had some spunk about him, and I thought he had the biggest call that was some bull crap that I'd ever seen. He probably was one of the ones that set the standard. That was probably the film they were showing when they changed the rule for the crack back blocks and the ones where you can't see, because I can't remember. I think it might have been a championship game or something. It was one of those. Yeah. But he laid somebody out, and I was like, that's the kind of guy I want on my team that goes like that.
He's kind of had a thin frame too. So, I mean, that helped him out obviously in speed and elusiveness and all that. But to be able to block like that from this thin frame was just sweet. And those guys too, I mean, I know they're not the option days. They didn't probably, grind it out and block quite like those guys. But, the Quincy Anunwas and Kenny Bell, their receiving core could block too when they needed to, obviously, for Amir Abdullah. So, I mean, we talk about the offensive line and all the problems and that has been there and not having that marquee running back. But that's another factor that maybe sometimes get lost. And I'm not saying that the current receivers aren't at that level, but blocking on the perimeter, I mean, that can be the difference between a 15-yarder and a touchdown if you can, get the edge sealed. So
no doubt about it. Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, to get out there to seal somebody, not knowing what's coming up your back, but just kind of have a sixth sense about you, about reading the body language of the defender and just trying to, and maybe he's trying to get inside. Look like he's trying to leverage me in, or he's trying to leverage me out. Well, let me hold him out, because obviously the goal of the defensive back or the safety is to get them to turn up. You want to get them to turn up. You don't want to let them get to the corner or to the edge or whatever to break around you and off to the races. So you want them turning back into safety help, linebacker help, or whatever that's coming from that middle side. So it's just getting a read from that. Maybe you leverage them in off the boundary a little bit, and then let the feeling of it dictate what the direction is going to be. It's a fine game that you got to play out there, and those that do it well have success not just at this level but also at the next level.
Yeah, and it's always kind of funny out there, especially holding. I mean, at that point, they're trying to break loose and get to the corner too. So you get popped for that a lot. You did play with some wide receiver in high school, didn't you?
Yeah. Wide receivers. I mean, that was what I was known for, but the overlooked part, I probably would have been all state on defense, also. But I just. They made a choice, and obviously that was the choice because I really, really excelled in that aspect of it. The position I probably would have played would have been either a rover, that Terrell Farley type linebacker. You know, Tony Samuels definitely wanted me on the outside. He was like, I want him. And then Coach Brown was like, no, I want him on this wing back side. It was that was kind of the thing that was going on when I did try to go out there and, scratch that itch.
Yeah, a couple responses off YouTube and the text line. The Milkman said, "Jake is one of your favorites, Jamal Turner." He had some moments, especially as a senior. I always wonder what Jamal Turner would have been if they recruited him to be a quarterback. I wonder what he would have done at the quarterback position, but kind of like the Bobby Newcomb of the past. He was a selfless teammate. I don't know how often you're going to see that moving forward if you're recruited as a quarterback, especially the NIL opportunities that they have compared to everybody else. It might be hard to convince those guys to switch positions. We'll see if that changes in the future. Taylor Stewart off of Facebook says Purifier Todd Peterson were among some of his favorite.
Yeah, Purify. Wow.
Yeah, really good. Like 6'4". I mean, he'd go up and get it and had enough speed. And I mean, he was there with Todd Peterson, Nate Swift. That was a great receiving core. Would you put Samari Toure in that sort of discussion? He had a good East-West Shrine game last night. I think that was part of the discussion that I wanted to lead off with. He's kind of one of those fringe, maybe drafted guys, I think, at this point, but maybe that type of performance could get him to the combine, could get somebody pretty interested in him. I think he's got going to have a good look in the NFL.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think so. I think those things always help you. I mean, obviously you've got to have a good pro day as well. Usually guys that are not on those top tier radars, they usually can find themselves anywhere in the 5th to 7th rounds.
Yeah.
Otherwise those other guys, people have probably had their eyes on him a little bit longer. And now if he goes in there and he runs like a 4.3 40 and has like a 38-inch vertical, in his pro day, and his pro day he goes nuts, and your eyes are going to be like, wait, now we might have found something here, jump on something. But it'll probably be, I think usually those limits will probably go up to the 4th, at best the 4th round, maybe 5th, but mostly it's those other guys that they've already kind of seen show and prove. But I think he, if he keeps, making mincemeat out of cornerbacks and safeties out there in these games, I think he's got one more shot at it. I can't remember which one it is that's coming up where there's going to be like 4 Huskers in it. This was the East-West Shrine. So the senior, I think the Senior Bowl, the one that's I think down here it might be in.
There's a few of them.
I think there's one I don't know if it's in Florida or.
There's
Georgia,
one in Alabama that's being played tomorrow.
That's the one. This Saturday. Yes.
Yeah.
I think there's like 4 of them, or it's either 3 or 4 of them in there. I think Allen's in it.
Cam Taylor-Britt's been he
Britt's in it.
Yeah.
And then I think Stilly might be in that one too.
It'll be fun to see, because I think that this is a good class. One of the better draft classes Nebraska's had in quite some time. They're not necessarily thinking about, first or second rounders or anything like that, but the depth of the class is certainly something we haven't seen too often at Nebraska the last 10 years. Now, it used to be, if you only had 4 or 5 guys drafted and none of them were top 2 rounds, you'd be pretty disappointed back in Nebraska's heyday. But now, it's a really good class, and it's kind of frustrating because I believe that they kind of missed an opportunity. I think they know that they missed the opportunity with all that talent in the room to obviously turn it over to wins, and we don't have to go over kind of what happened this last offseason or this last season was that, there's clearly a bunch of talent and they could play with the top teams in the nation, just never turned over to wins, which is kind of what's going.
Winning Bach changes the whole aspect of it, right? When the Huskers were at the heydays of winning, I mean, it'd be like Mike Brown, and then it was like Mike Minter and Tony Veland. I mean, I think one time on the defense they had like a couple first round cornerbacks, and then Minter I think was in the 2nd or 3rd. I mean, there was a time when they were really pumping them out, and those guys were making contributions. I mean, him with Carolina, then Veland over there with Denver, and then Mike, not Rucker, but my boy Mike, he's in Atlanta now. He was with the Falcons. He was a cornerback, 6'3" cornerback, and shoot, man, they were pumping him out. But winning makes that difference, right?
Yeah, it certainly elevates your draft stock too. I always go back to those late '90s defensive lines where you had, obviously not all of them on the same. The Jason Peter, the Peter brothers, Wistrom, Rucker, Vanden Bosch, the Kelsey brothers. I mean, you could just keep going on, and you wonder, like, even those, we hear stories, especially on the captain with VJ there, of those the scout teams having like 3 or 4 or 5, more than that, like 4 or 5 future 9-year NFL vets when you step on campus as a freshman. That's what you're going up against that level of competition. And again, now obviously you don't necessarily have that at Nebraska, but they'll work on getting that back in place. It's
that was when the bones was the bones.
Yes, that's when black shirts were well known.
Whew. To earn that black shirt meant something back then. I mean, it wasn't just given to you. You went and got it. That
meant something nationally. I mean, that was quite a big deal. It's kind of interesting though, because Nebraska obviously had the red zone struggles last year. It was pointed out, and I saw this by Mitch Sherman of The Athletic, who will join us here in just a few minutes. They actually didn't do too bad in the red zone as far as scoring touchdowns. They actually had led the league in red zone touchdown percentage, which is a little bit surprising if we go back and think about the red zone woes. The red zone woes were was the lack of kicker. So if they didn't get a touchdown, they were missing field goals, or they had to go for it because they didn't believe in their kickers, right? So that's what really hurt them and held that team back. And, that's, again, why I keep going back to, I know they've lost a lot of talent from that team, but I'm not sure if you want to throw all the Scott Frost offense away, because it had a lot of success. It just didn't get in the end zone or get a turnover to points. And sometimes it wasn't about getting in the end zone. It was the horrible kicking game they've had this last year.
Well, and then the footwork of Adrian Martinez too made the difference. I mean, I think if Adrian also, I think there was times where I remember watching, he missed some targets. I mean, it wasn't like there were guys that were open. He just happened to miss them, either missed them high or it was a little behind him. It's those ones what makes you a good quarterback. You have to hit those certain spots where, you're running a spot or something like that. That ball's got to be low and like in between the legs, so he's going down to be able to avoid making a hit or getting hand play in it. There's different throws that quarterbacks have to make. Sometimes that back shoulder throw, that hitting that pylon on the back, obviously that's not throwing out of bounds, but you know what I'm saying, having the right touch on it. Sometimes he would throw a bullet when you just needed just a little bit on it. So those are the things that makes a quarterback successful in those specific areas.
Yeah, and that's what I think a lot of people are excited about Casey Thompson, in particular, is that obviously you're losing a little bit in the athleticism for Adrian Martinez, but Thompson seemingly does have the touch when you turn on his look, it's kind of his tape over there at Texas, and he had 7 touchdowns in one game against Kansas. I know it's Kansas. First of all, Kansas was maybe better than in this past year than they had been in the past, so they're kind of starting a turnaround there. But the other thing is, I don't care who you're playing, Division I competition, you get 7 touchdowns. That's 7. I mean, that's not messing around. So
no, that's putting it on a dime. You making it happen. And then that's the good thing about him. He has good footwork. I watched some film on him in some of his training films, and he's got great footwork. I mean, he knows how to step up in the pocket, when to step up in the pocket. We saw Adrian get better at that, but he continuously keeps his head downfield. He's done some good work on his footwork, so I'm thinking that'll bode well for him.
Yeah, hopefully it does, and I think Nebraska, is at least in a good spot with their quarterback this upcoming season. He's got 2 years left, so it could be really good. We'll talk about some of that stuff and much, much more with Mitch Sherman of The Athletic coming up next year on The Block on 93.7 The Ticket.
Hi, welcome to Big Chain Bar and Grill. Can I get you a drink? Which game were you hoping to see? Doesn't matter. I don't know what channel the game's on anyway. Are you ready to order? Okay, here's a check. Come back and see us again, okay?
What?
Hey, welcome welcome back into Upside.
Slow down and enjoy the game at the Upside Bar and Lounge. Comfortable seating, plenty of screens, a great food and drink menu, and no one trying to shove you out the door. Come in, hang out, and take it all in at the Upside Bar and Lounge, open daily just east of 27th and Pine Lake.
Happy Hour with Nick Sainert and Enrique Alvarez Clary.
You just kind of feel a little more settled with a guy like Trev Alberts leading the way. I think that's a big part of it.
Trev Alberts is like a mix of the two. He knows the business side of it. He knows what needs to get done, how to make money, how to spend money, etc. You know, whatever you got to do there as an athletic director. Then on the personal level, he wants to get to know the coaches.
I think a good description for Trev is that he understands how important relationships are.
Weekdays from 2 to 3 on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Winter is upon us. Is your home prepared? If your furnace isn't keeping up or you've thought about replacing it, John Henry's has a new year, new unit special. When you purchase a select heating and cooling system from John Henry's, we will give you the furnace for free. There are also equipment and LES rebates up to an additional $850. This offer expires February 28th, so don't miss out. Find out more at jhlincoln.com or give John Henry's a call or text today.
435-5555. Today on Hey Culligan, unnecessary contaminants. Here's the referee.
Hey Culligan, that's a flag on my water for flagrant foul taste.
Ooh, that's a tough one, ref, but the solution is a Culligan Smart RO drinking water system that reduces up to 58 contaminants, making your water safer and delicious.
Yeah, I guess I missed that call.
And with the Culligan Connect app, you always know when your filters need changing.
The water's up and it's good.
Good call, ref, and we're already on the way.
Try a Culligan water softener for just $9.95 per month. Go to CulliganLincoln.com.
Shopping for insurance can be a tedious and frustrating task, but the agents at Brokers Insurance Agency will do the work for you. They have partnered with over 20 of the best insurance carriers in the nation, which allows them to do the shopping all for you. Whether you're looking for business insurance or employee benefits for your company, or you're looking to save money on your home and auto insurance, Brokers Insurance Agency has the agents and solutions to help meet your goals. Call 402-420-5353 or email staff at brokersinsurancene.com.
You know you want that smoky, tangy, sweet, and spicy sauced and tossed Wingstop, but you just brought a haul of groceries home from the store. It's cool. No one expects you to shop and cook in the same day. So let the flavor experts at Wingstop hook you up with mouth-watering wings, crispy tenders and thighs, fries and sides delivered to your door. You can always cook tomorrow. That's why the fridge was invented. Get it delivered at wingstop.com.
Order online now from the new Wingstop located at 5001 O Street. Gray Diesel and Equipment Services is hiring and seeking motivated applicants. Gray offers a second-to-none benefit package that includes health, dental, vision, 401k, paid vacation, and paid holidays. They offer great pay and tuition reimbursement or a tool purchase program for qualified candidates. It's a fun, friendly team with lots of variety and work assignments, so there's something for everybody. View and apply for their job openings today at grayusa.com or visit them in person just off I-80 and North 56th Street. Come be a part of the Gray difference. Casey's General Store is giving you the chance at winning 2 free tickets to a Nebraska home basketball game this season. Stop by any Casey's location in Lincoln throughout basketball season. Enter your name into the registration box and you'll have a chance to win 2 tickets to an upcoming Nebraska basketball game. Every drawing will occur at least 24 hours before the game that has its selected winner. So make sure to get to any Casey's in Lincoln today for your chance at 2 free tickets for Nebraska men's basketball games.
Back to On the Block with Strickland Bach on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
This is On the Block here on 93.7 The Ticket. I'm Jake Bockoven. He is Erick Strickland, and we're pleased to be joined on the Honda of Lincoln hotline 402-464-5685 by Mitch Sherman of The Athletic. Mitch, how you doing today?
I'm well. How are you guys?
Oh, we're not too bad. Just trying to get to the weekend, and we're almost there.
Sure.
Yeah.
The weekend's here, baby. We made it. It's another time to get in the weekend, but the only difference is y'all freezing and I'm not.
Yeah, it's fair enough. Strick's down in Florida, so he always has his fun out there. But yeah, we're a little bit cold. But somebody that was pretty hot last night was Samori Toure at the East-West Shrine game. It's kind of fun. We were running through our top 10 receivers that suited up for the Huskers since the year 2000. Do you think that he would qualify even with just 1 year?
Well, his season in 2021 puts him in the conversation. I mean, he definitely would be in a top 10 season conversation without any worry at all. It was, I'd say, one of the 3 or 4 best seasons by a receiver in the last 20 years. Now, I mean, you start going back into previous eras, and it's hard to compare, certainly like Irving Fryer and Johnny Rodgers, because the numbers look different than they do today with the offenses. But in this era of football, I would say his season last year was about as good as we've seen, other than maybe Stanley Morgan in 2017 or 2018. That was his 1,000-yard season. So yeah, I mean, based on that, and we'll see what his future holds. But I think not just last night, but the whole week that Samori had at the East-West Shrine Bowl is going to be beneficial for him in improving his draft stock. I think he gets an opportunity definitely now in the NFL one way or another. Probably would have anyway, but now more of a priority for some team. And I think he's the kind of guy with his he was a professional really this year at Nebraska in a lot of ways. So he knows what that takes. Knows what that takes. And I think he's gonna make a franchise happy in the NFL that they picked him up.
And Mitch, I also saw you tweeting last night too about kind of in regards to it, because we all know Nebraska's red zone woes last year, and so you kind of thought he scored 2 red zone touchdowns. Austin Allen kind of a red zone threat there in the end zone as well. That Nebraska really struggled there, and maybe why they didn't use those guys more.
Well, Nebraska actually led the Big Ten in touchdown percentage in the red zone, which I know is difficult to fathom, and the percentages are pretty bunched up near the top. The Huskers were 36th nationally, first in the Big Ten at 66% in scoring touchdowns in the red zone. So, while that one item was not a huge problem or really a problem at all for Nebraska in 21, it was in 20. Scoring just in general was a problem, and then overall red zone efficiency was a problem. And we know about some of the more details like late game situations, untimely turnovers, things like that. I do think that Nebraska could have used him even more. And, we saw those skills on display. I didn't watch the game, but I saw the highlights, not just of him catching a couple of touchdowns, but, his blocking on the other touchdown that his team scored that sprung free a receiver from South Dakota State to score a touchdown. I mean, he's a team guy, again, carrying over some of those traits that made him so valuable for Nebraska during the season into the Shrine Bowl. Yeah, I mean, when Nebraska got in the red zone and needed to throw the ball, it was always something of an adventure, and it probably shouldn't have been as difficult as it was with a mobile quarterback who keeps that defense guessing, and then when you consider the weapons like Austin Allen and Toure and Omar Manning, I think they should have, with the success that Nebraska had scoring touchdowns in the red zone, I think it could have been even greater if they would have, perhaps had better pass protection and then just overall been using those. Overall, would have used those weapons a little bit differently.
Yeah, Mitch, obviously we're coming off National Signing Day. There's some teams that are quite happy, and there's some teams that's getting some Twitter flack, i.e. Texas A&M. But we know that there's some winners and losers when you assess those things. What are your top 2 winners and top 2 losers of this year's National Signing Day?
All around the country. Well, you mentioned A&M, Strick, and they have taken some chiding from fans of other programs, but I can assure you that the Texas A&M program, the coaches, the fans in College Station and around Texas who cheer for that program are making no apologies and are plenty happy with being able to beat Alabama, beat LSU. You go across into the other division in the SEC, beat Georgia in recruiting, and have the haul of 5-star players and 4-star players. I think it was 7 5-stars that the Aggies signed. So, however they're doing it, as long as it's within the rules, and I it is because really everything is within the rules now with the way NIL works. And Jimbo Fisher came out and was defensive about the suggestion that NIL played a role in the Aggies recruiting. I think it's naive to think that it did not. Of course it did in some way, and it played a role for Nebraska to get the transfers that it got. It played a role for all of the teams that you'll find at the top of the recruiting rankings in getting these classes. But, I'd put the Aggies right there at the top of the list nationally of teams that elevated their program's status with this signing period. USC is another one that you can look at because of the job that Lincoln Riley did in the 2 months that he was on the job in Los Angeles, both through the transfer portal and in recruiting. And some of it is going to pay off in 2023 and years down the road with players that he's gotten commitments from. So those two teams are right there. There are a number. Strick, that everybody is a winner on signing day. And it's hard to pick losers on signing day because every coach stands up there and talks about the great job that his staff did in recruiting. There are no losers on signing day, only 2-3 years down the road when we see some of these classes inevitably fall flat.
I think a loser is Auburn right now, but that's just me. I think they're
go beyond signing day.
Right. Right. All right. Thanks, Mitch.
All right, I'm going into kind of the Harbaugh thing. That was kind of been interesting. He says he said that he's fully committed to Michigan now after even going to signing day and having interviews with NFL jobs. Do you believe that he's fully committed to Michigan now, or I mean, it's hard to imagine if the right NFL job comes around that he still wouldn't think twice about it.
I think he's fully committed to Michigan for 2022. Probably not going to see another NFL head coaching job come open, here after the Super Bowl. I think from Black Monday at the end of the regular season, right on through these last few weeks, the NFL openings, at least for head coaching jobs, are pretty much set. And it doesn't appear that he's going to get one. He wasn't fully committed to Michigan a week ago when he was ready to get on a plane and did get on a plane and go to Minneapolis and interview for the Vikings job. And I think you can put him right back in that boat at the end of any season in the future that he completes with the Wolverines. But, that's kind of the case really with most coaches. They're committed until they're not. They're committed until a better offer comes along. And now with the transfer portal, it's really not all that much different with players. So in some way, the playing field is more level across the sport. The coaches can leave, the players can leave. That's kind of a fact that we have to accept. But yeah, I think Jim Harbaugh is going to be at Michigan in 2022. I think we can take that to the bank. He's going to take it to the bank, and he'll be committed to them. Until some other opportunity comes up after next season or another season down the road.
Yeah, I think that's probably a pretty good way to read it. Mitch Sherman of The Athletic with us here. Going back to National Signing Day, specifically now for Nebraska, they did get two big additions to their class, and it moved their team rankings up a little bit as far as all the those websites go. Are you at the point where you're pretty bought in that they've done enough? That this, I always call it somewhat of an experiment, right? I think that I needed to be convinced after the 3-9 season that if they were going to bring Frost back, it was going to be worth it. Are you convinced that it's worth it at this point?
Well, it looks a lot better now. At least the immediate future looks a lot more attractive and hopeful right now than I would say it did on November 10th when the decision was announced and Frost got rid of the 4 offensive assistants. Right then at that moment, things were kind of bleak. I am surprised. I can say that sitting here in February, I'm surprised at the amount of work, the amount of progress on paper, off the field. Of course, there have not been games since the day after Thanksgiving. So, you can't go collect real wins until August. But the work that they've done in these past 2.5 months, to give themselves a chance. Nebraska has lost so much when in terms of the production from the 2021 team. And most of that was expected. A few pieces were not, but the majority of it was expected or at least anticipated maybe as a possibility in the case of somebody like Cam Jurgens leaving for the NFL. But, they have given themselves an opportunity to move in a better direction because of the work that's been done by these new coaches and by Scott Frost. One, in the portal, and then two, to salvage something from this class. Because really, when you got into December, this recruiting class was looking really, kind of lackadaisical. And starting with the misses that Nebraska had in its own backyard in the Omaha metro area, and Strick, I know two of those close, two of those guys well at your alma mater at Bellevue West who opted to go to Oklahoma and Auburn. That is just a really difficult pill to swallow for Nebraska, and to have that as the foundation of your recruiting class, and to be able to recover. I'll give them credit to be able to recover in these last few weeks and sign some players who were recruited and coveted by SEC schools. It shows that they have come a long way with this new staff, with the work that Mickey Joseph and Bill Bush, and then in the case of the running back from Louisiana, the job that Brian Applewhite, Nebraska's new running backs coach, has done. It is impressive. It does give them an opportunity to capitalize on some of this next season, to move in a good direction. And then mainly the work they've done in the transfer portal. That's bigger even than the recruiting, because those are all pieces that you have hope, if you're Nebraska, that they can help you right away, starting this spring.
And one more for you, Mitch. We learned at the signing day press conference, actually, that a few guys were going to miss the upcoming spring. Travis Vokalek, among them, Gabe Irvin is going to be limited. So those are kind of concerns on offense. But the big ones for me is Turner Corcoran and Teddy Prohaska will both be out. Maybe not necessarily surprising, but those are two guys that you expect probably to start for this team the upcoming year for what was probably the biggest weakness for this team last season. Do you see that as yet another obstacle for them to overcome, or maybe more of a chance to provide some depth to believe in behind those guys?
That has to be the hope if you're Donnie Raiola, Nebraska's new offensive line coach, is that with those two guys being out, that there's opportunities created maybe for the Division I transfers, Hunter Anthony out of Oklahoma State, and Kevin Williams, the transfer from Northern Colorado. One of those guys could perhaps step up, or maybe somebody like Ezra Miller, who's been in the program for a couple of years, as a former highly rated recruit who to Iowa, who transferred into Nebraska and really hasn't seen the field much. Somebody's going to have to step up. Somebody's going to have to play on the number one offensive line at those tackle spots without Prohaska and Turner Corcoran. And I don't know where Corcoran's necessarily going to fit for Nebraska when he comes back. Definitely in that top five. But Scott Frost reiterated on Wednesday that he's a guy that Nebraska believes can play all five positions on the offensive line. Any of all five, not all five at the same time. But they can stick him really anywhere, including center. Which is a real mystery or a question, a huge question for Nebraska at this point. So it is disappointing. It is a setback that Corcoran in particular can't get out there in the spring, with Prohaska coming off of ACL surgery. And that injury was in November. Completely expected with this team starting spring practice on February 28th that he's not going to be back out there full speed, ready to go. And I think that's probably good. Coming off of his true freshman season, that you take it slow with him. And he's probably the guy who has some of the lesser questions to be answered. In just his short time with that offensive line last year, he looks like the left tackle of the future. The next 3 years, he can be the guy to man that all-important position. But the other spots on the line, where Turner Corcoran fits, where those two transfers fit, who else is going to step in and start. I do think it is the number one question around the entire team going into this season. And we're not going to get all the answers in spring, which is difficult.
He's Mitch Sherman of The Athletic. Mitch, thanks again for joining us on the block today.
All right. Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Yep. There he goes. Mitch Sherman of The Athletic. Always very insightful. We're going to take a quick break, but call right now. 402-464-5685. Reserve your spot on the game show Shootout with Strick. If you've been listening along, especially with the ticket water cooler earlier, we've been talking about Husker receivers all day long. So this is a Husker receiver-centric game show. You just have to beat Strick, and you'll walk away with $15 to Buffalo Wings and Rings. That's coming up next year on The Block.
Great Diesel and Equipment Services is hiring and seeking motivated applicants. Gray offers a second-to-none benefit package that includes health, dental, vision, 401k, paid vacation, and paid holidays. They offer great pay and tuition reimbursement or a tool purchase program for qualified candidates. It's a fun, friendly team with lots of variety and work assignments, so there's something for everybody. View and apply for their job openings today at grayusa.com or visit them in person just off I-80 and North 56th Street. Come be a part of the Gray difference.
Have you been told your furnace has a cracked heat exchanger? Before you spend money needlessly, call Bryant for a free second opinion. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing, 467-1111.
Southeast Community College has learning centers in Falls City, Hebron, Nebraska City, Plattsmouth, Wahoo, and York, so that you can take credit and non-credit classes at a center nearby without having to travel an hour or more to campus. By taking online classes and those at a learning center, you can earn your degree from SEC where and when it's convenient for you, all at a cost that won't stand in the way of your education. Learn more about SCC's learning centers at southeast.edu/learning centers. SCC, your path to possible.
Hi, Sean Callahan here of HuskerOnline.com, inviting you to join us here on 93.7 The Ticket every Saturday morning now in our new time. We're on from 8 to 9 with the weekly Husker Online radio show. We'll give you the latest in recruiting. We'll talk about what's going on with both football, basketball, and we'll probably share a few stories from the inside. It's every Saturday morning right here on 93.7 The Ticket. It's the Husker Online radio show from 8 to 9 a.m.
You know you want that smoky, tangy, sweet, and spicy sauced and tossed Wingstop, but you just brought a haul of groceries home from the store. It's cool. No one expects you to shop and cook in the same day. So let the flavor experts at Wingstop hook you up with mouth-watering wings, crispy tenders and thighs, fries and sides delivered to your door. You can always cook tomorrow. That's why the fridge was invented. Get it delivered at wingstop.com.
Order online now from the new Wingstop located at 5001 O Street.
Fruitcakes are just for Christmas, right? Gosh, I feel sorry for you. I mean, what if we had done that with bacon? Bacon is only for breakfast. We'd never have bacon cheeseburgers. We'd never be able to save a salad by adding bacon bits. We'd never have Brinner. That's breakfast for dinner. Don't limit yourself. Fruitcakes for St. Patrick's Day. Fruitcakes for graduation. Fruitcakes for Thursday. Beatrice Bakery and Grandma's Fruitcakes are perfect for every occasion. Check them out in downtown Beatrice or online at beatricebakery.com. Welcome to our world of yum.
Casey's General Store is giving you the chance at winning 2 free tickets to a Nebraska home basketball game this season. Stop by any Casey's location in Lincoln throughout basketball season. Enter your name into the registration box, and you'll have a chance to win 2 tickets to an upcoming Nebraska basketball game. Every drawing will occur at least 24 hours before the game that has its selected winner. So make sure to get to any Casey's in Lincoln today for your chance at 2 free tickets for Nebraska men's basketball games.
Hi, this is Sean Callahan with Koppel Chevrolet GMC. New vehicle production has been increasing, but the lots will not be filling up anytime soon. In fact, most vehicles are being pre-sold and are leaving the same week as they arrive. If you want your new Chevrolet or GMC, this is a great time to build a vehicle and place an order. Our sales team will work right with you to build the exact vehicle you want. At Koppel, we appreciate your business and sell vehicles at a fair price. So come check us out or visit us online at koppelcars.com.
It's time to play Shootout with Strick. Call now, 464-5685, to take your shot against Erick Strickland. Shootout with Strick. Brought to you by Buffalo Wings and Rings.
Time to play the game!
Give us a call, 402-464-5685, for your chance to win $15 to Buffalo Wings and Rings. Why wouldn't you give us a call? You have a chance to beat Erick Strickland in a shootout, a game show, and the topic today is Nebraska receiving records. So we've been talking about it kind of all day, some of the stats of the best receivers over the last 20 years or so. So that's the topic today. Go ahead and give us a call, 402-464-5685, for your chance to win the chicken, the Pollos, the Yardbird. Strick, how you feeling? You're pretty confident about we've been talking receivers today. You feel pretty confident about your Husker history there?
I need them to tap in if they're ready to take this L boogie. You know what I mean? I'm ready to give somebody an L on Husker wide receiver history.
All right, let's see. I think we've got the phone lines are lighting up, so we'll see if we can get it. We'll start. We'll get to the competitor here in just a second, but first let's get to your score here and try to figure out what the competitor needs to do to beat it. Because we've got a competitor on the line. Just got to figure out the name if we can get that written down. But Strick, we'll start with you. Are you ready?
All right, I think I'm ready, boss. I would love to go in with a good wine win.
All right, Austin is going to be your competitor today. So yeah, you got to go out this weekend with a win. We'll see if you can get it done. Your side of the game show starts in 3. I better
Wait. I need you to be quicker. I would have won yesterday if you wasn't so slow.
All right, we'll get to it. All right, I didn't drink before this segment, so that'll help today. 3, 2, 1. Who holds the record for most receptions in a single season at Nebraska? Marlon Lucky or Stanley Morgan?
Morgan.
It's actually Lucky. Samari Touré is 898 yards this past season and has only been topped by how many players at Nebraska? 3 or 4?
3.
It's actually 4. Who's the only player to have had more than 200 yards receiving in a game? J.D. Spielman or Jordan Westerkamp?
Spielman.
That's correct. Who holds the record with 25 career receiving touchdowns? Nate Swift or Johnny Rogers?
Johnny Rogers.
That's correct. How many touchdowns did Maurice Purify have in 2007?
8.
It's actually 9. That was a good guess. But you finished with 2 points. Certainly leaving it out there.
I needed the money.
You needed the money ball. But it's always 2's always a pretty solid score. You can get away with the win there. Austin, you feel pretty confident in getting over 2 today?
We're going to do our best.
All right, that's good. Are you ready?
Yep.
All right, in 3, 2, 1. Who holds the record for single season receiving yards at Nebraska? Stanley Morgan or Johnny Rogers?
Stanley Morgan.
That's correct. Who holds the single season record at Nebraska with 12 touchdown receptions? Kenny Bell or Quincy Enunwa?
Quincy Enunwa.
That's correct. Who had more receiving touchdowns in their career? Kenny Bell or Jordan Westerkamp?
Kenny Bell.
That's correct. Who holds the record for most career receiving yards at Nebraska? Stanley Morgan or Jordan Westerkamp?
Jordan Westerkamp.
That's incorrect. How many touchdowns did Nate Swift catch in 2008?
10.
10 is correct. Wow, what a guess.
Wow.
He knew it was 10, and that gives Austin 5 points.
Austin blasted me, man. What's going on, bro?
Austin, you have your chance now to talk some trash to Strick if you want to. Of course, you've earned yourself a few shout-outs as well. We'll get to your shout-out from Stone Cold here in a second after you get your chance to talk trash to Strick if you'd like.
Hey, Strick, I still want you to have a good weekend. Don't dwell on
I'll go. I'll take one glass of wine to the face for you. Congratulations, my friend.
Yes, one more for Austin here.
Hell yeah! I said, give me a hell yeah!
All right, there it goes. Stone's Cold helping out. Austin gets the victory today, so he goes away with $15 to Buffalo Wings and Rings. So always a good cash prize there. Not a cash prize, but it's a chicken prize, I suppose. It turns into for Austin. So yeah, just try to get his information over there in the studio, and he'll walk away with the chicken. Strick, I don't know if you had a good week this week. Maybe do you think I had a problem with the questions today? Maybe it was easier questions.
No, I think you was on it today. It was a couple of them. You gave me some tough ones today. I think you set Stricky up, bro. You be giving them the easy ones, man. I see what you're doing. It's a lot of I think it's a lot of Vegas influence on your side of the coin over there. There's somebody behind the scenes shaving you. I see it.
That's right. We've got behind the scenes bets on who's going to win, and I set it up that way. So
shoot,
I'm a little kicking myself. Let's jump into some of the other stories today. I was gonna, we kind of have actually a shortened show today at 5:45. We'll jump over to Lincoln East against Pius. Nick is out there. He's gonna call both the girls and boys games. So we'll see if we still have time for hitting the hardwood. I think we'll get into it. But there was a trade today, so maybe if you're an NBA fan, you'll be all about this. If not, stick with us for a second, I suppose. But Portland ended up trading today with the Clippers. They ended up with Eric Bledsoe, Keon Johnson, and Justice Winslow, and they traded away Norman Powell and Robert Covington. That itself is probably not a very good trade. But overall, it's the fact that they actually already messed this up from the begin with, because they originally sent Gary Trent Jr. and Rodney Hood for Norman Powell, and they also traded 2 first-rounders for Robert Covington along with Trevor Ariza. So it ended up they had Gary Trent Jr., who's pretty darn good, and 2 first-rounders, and they ended up trading those away in the long run for Eric Bledsoe and Justice Winslow, who are both at the back end of their careers, and Keon Johnson. He's 19, but he hasn't done anything. Is Portland actively trying to get Damian Lillard out of there? What's going on?
They're trying to figure it out. I thought that was dumb of them in the first place. They didn't want to touch Gary with that money, but I knew Gary was special. Obviously, I played with his dad, and we were talking throughout that whole time, and we still talk pretty regularly. And I knew that was going to be a mistake. He's a special kid, and to let him go. I mean, they were trying to hold what they were holding together, with Dame and McCollum, but at the end of the day, bro, I knew that was going to wear off at some point, and that's when you needed someone like that to come in. I mean, shoot, he just went for what I think a 30-piece just a night or two ago, and he's doing his thing. But Toronto, that's how they got to do it, man. I mean, shoot, Van Vliet just now, he broke through, and I think he's going to get into the All-Star game. And, he came in as, basically a no-name and got an opportunity, made the most of it. It's like they're seeing stuff within players that other teams aren't. They're looking at numbers and bottom lines and, oh, no, he's not good enough for this. And they go on and do their thing. Portland has a way of doing that, other than the time when they had the Scottie Pippen and they were making runs at it with, Brian Grants and they had Drexler and those guys up there, just when they had Kenny Anderson and Cruz up there and Stoudemire. I mean, they were solid, but it just seems like as of late, they haven't been able to, and kudos to Dame Lillard for staying, because I thought he was out of there some years ago. It's just the way that they weren't giving it to him, but
Yeah, I say kudos for them, and I always kind of cheer for them just because Portland's kind of a cool place. The Trailblazers, nice color scheme, all that. I don't know. They're just a generally likable team, but I don't know if I want to see him stick around there much longer. I mean, he's been through it with the LaMarcus Aldridge and Terry Stotts years and years and years, and I like Nurkic. I mean, they've still got a few pieces there, but they're falling in the standings, and this trade looks like giving up to me. I don't know what, I mean, you're obviously, there's not a whole lot of upside left with a lot of the guys that they brought in here. And I guess maybe shedding the Robert Covington money is probably what
it is.
Yeah, because he did sign a big contract and his numbers are fading as well. But it looks like, I mean, you see this at the trade deadline. I know it's not quite there, but certain teams take their positions, and I think they're 21 and 27, somewhere around there. And I think Portland's taken their position to maybe look toward the future. And you just wonder what that means for Dame. I almost at this point want to see him get an opportunity elsewhere, because Portland's just not putting anything together for him. But we'll see how it turns out. Just kind of always fun when there's a major trade in the association or the NFL that we can break down a little bit for you. We're going to take a quick break here on the block and come back for our final hour there. We have plenty more to talk about. Winners and losers of National Signing Day. We'll kind of go through that. Brian Harsin out there at Auburn. I mean, I think we could probably fill up an hour just talking about what's going on there. It's quite entertaining. And we'll also talk, we will get to a little bit of hitting the hardwood segment. LeBron may be willing to leave LA for only one reason, and that's his son Bronny. He wants to play with Bronny. So do you draft Bronny pretty high? Do you overdraft Bronny to get a late age LeBron? Maybe you do. We'll talk about that next, all that stuff next in the next hour here on the block.
In every office, there's two types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win, and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday, you lost Wednesday, you're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe.
You know you want that smoky, tangy, sweet, and spicy sauced and tossed Wingstop. But you just brought a haul of groceries home from the store. It's cool. No one expects you to shop and cook in the same day. So let the flavor experts at Wingstop hook you up with mouth-watering wings, crispy tenders and thighs, fries and sides delivered to your door. You can always cook tomorrow. That's why the fridge was invented. Get it delivered at wingstop.com.
Order online now from the new Wingstop located at 5001 O Street.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
Partly to mostly sunny skies, a little windy here for our Friday. We can see northwest winds gusting over 30. We'll top out near 32. Overnight clear with a low dropping down to around 12. A nice warm up for our Saturday. An afternoon high of 49. Southwest winds gusting to 25. I'm meteorologist Tim Wright for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Hi, this is Sean Callahan with Koppel Chevrolet GMC. New vehicle production has been increasing, but the lots will not be filling up anytime soon. In fact, most vehicles are being pre-sold and are leaving the same week as they arrive. If you want your new Chevrolet or GMC, this is a great time to build a vehicle and place an order. Our sales team will work right with you to build the exact vehicle you want. At Koppel, we appreciate your business and sell vehicles at a fair price. So come check us out or visit us online at koppelcars.com.
Your home is your empire. Protect it with Empire Fence. Get a free instant quote with the online estimating tool at empire-fence.com. See an upfront estimate with no hidden fees. An Empire Fence can provide privacy and improve the appearance of your home. Keep kids and pets in or out of your yard. Increase security and add value to your property. Visit empire-fence.com now to view the stylish and maintenance-free possibilities for your home and get a free instant online quote. Let Empire Fence protect your empire.
Southeast Community College has learning centers in Falls City, Hebron, Nebraska City, Plattsmouth, Wahoo, and York so that you can take credit and non-credit classes at a center nearby without having to travel an hour or more to campus. By taking online classes and those at a learning center, you can earn your degree from SEC where and when it's convenient for you, all at a cost that won't stand in the way of your education. Learn more about SCC's learning centers at southeast.edu/learning centers. SCC, your path to possible.
Fruitcakes are just for Christmas, right? Gosh, I feel sorry for you. I mean, what if we had done that with bacon? Bacon is only for breakfast. We'd never have bacon cheeseburgers. We'd never be able to save a salad by adding bacon bits. We'd never have Brinner. That's breakfast for dinner. Don't limit yourself. Fruitcakes for St. Patrick's Day. Fruitcakes for graduation. Fruitcakes for Thursday. Beatrice Bakery and Grandma's Fruitcakes are perfect for every occasion. Check them out in downtown Beatrice or online at beatricebakery.com. Welcome to our world of yum.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. This is On the Block with Strickland Bach. Nebraska Basketball Hall of Famer and 9-year NBA vet, Erick Strickland.
Strickland for three! And you're going to go out of here as the Big 8 tournament champion.
93.7 The Ticket veteran and lover of bread, Jake Bockoven.
What? I like bread.
Coming at you live from the Koppel Chevrolet GMC studios in the heart of Lincoln, America. On air and online at theticketfm.com. This is On the Block with Strickland Bach. Hold up.
Welcome back on the block with Strickland Bach. We have a short second hour today. We'll be closing out in about 45 minutes. Got a big game going on that we're going to have to tap out for. But right now, we're going to talk a little bit about who we feel is going to stay and who's got to go possibly, and your thoughts on that. If you have a thought on who in this next segment, we're going to be talking about a few coaches that's out there on the wire right now with some information. There's some rumor, there's some speculation, and then there's going to be some considerations of what we feel or what we think may happen potentially in the coming days with two particular coaches. I mean, this can happen to anybody. You go figure these days. There's so much things that can turn around in a given moment. But these two are right now, we know for sure, are kind of on the hot seat. And the word on the wire is it's a possibility that one may go. And which one you think may go? Do you think both may go? If you feel that way, call us on the Honda Lincoln hotline at 402-464-5685. Or you can also text us at the 402 on the Sutter Heyman text line, 402-464-5685 as well. So basically, the question is today, who do you think has a better opportunity of keeping their job, Brian Harsin or Herm Edwards? We've been talking about coaches and who had wins and losses in the signing day, the NS, the National Signing Day. We're trying to figure out who may fall short of seeing those signees remain, and it is a very possibility. So, Bach, there's the rumor mill is spinning out there, man, and it's a lot of talk. Let's start with Brian Harsin. What's your thoughts on Brian Harsin, the situation? Obviously, we just talked to Mitch Sherman, and Mitch Sherman mentioned that we have one of our Bellevue West grads, one of my alma mater grads, is heading out to Auburn, and it's a possibility the guys that was recruiting him may not be there any longer. There's been a lot of turnover. It's been crazy how many coaches. There's the thing that we're going to see here is you have two different things. There's been a lot of loss of coaches. One lost coaches by means of getting rid of them, and the other one lost coaches by them getting rid of themselves. So, that's what makes them kind of equal. Is there's been a lot of loss of coaches, but some are leaving just because they're looking for greener pastures, and others are leaving because they got the boot. So with Brian Harsin, how do you feel about the situations, the rumors? Some of the rumors out there is right now that he was clapping with an assistant. There's speculation that's alleged. We don't know that to be true. The man's a married man, but the word is he was clapping, giving he was giving hand claps to the assistant. So, what's your thoughts about the Brian Harsin situation?
Yeah, and I don't know about that stuff. And we know better than anybody around here. If you start to couple losses, the fair rumors start to come out,
quick,
right?
Because they have to have a cause, right? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, you got to find a reason. And I don't know. I mean, there seemed to be some smoke to the fire for what it's worth. I don't want to talk too much about the rumor, but it's kind of weird because she was the alleged woman was a Boise State cheerleader, and he wanted to bring her over to be an assistant for Boise or over to Auburn. So that already I don't care if there's any rumors or not. That's already going like what? But so that's
that Scooby-Doo moment that.
You sure she's the most qualified, or but we'll see. I mean, I don't know. It's that's where the rumors start after things get ugly, and things have already gotten pretty ugly with Brian Harsin down there at Auburn. For what it's worth, if you want to catch up on it, is his offensive coordinator Mike Bobo was fired after the regular season. Of course, this all starts on the field. They go 6-7. They lost like 5 games down the stretch. That's of course not going to get it done at Auburn. It was his first year there. So maybe you give that 1 year bumper zone, but whatever, they're going to need to do better than that. His defensive coordinator Derek Mason left for the same position that he was in to Oklahoma State. So now he lost his offensive coordinator, his defensive coordinator. He hired Austin Davis, a former Seattle Seahawks assistant, to take over that offensive coordinator spots, and within 6 weeks, Davis was out. He said, "This is not it for me." So he's out. That doesn't look good. And now there's some kind of talk among the locker room, right, or on Twitter. It's led to Twitter where he's had players say that they basically are treated like dogs. And I'm
John
quoting
Talty.
that, not paraphrasing that. That's what he said. Another guy said that they. Smoke Monday, who's one of their better players, said that that since Brian Harsin got hired, he never had one conversation with his parents, and he probably doesn't even know their names, so he's pretty upset by that. Other guys on the team are sticking up for him and said they didn't need a friend, they needed a coach. So there's obviously always different feelings in the locker room. A locker room that big, you're not just going to have one, team vote on what the opinion is. But things are getting pretty ugly there, and it's getting to the point, and I don't know how I feel about athletic directors addressing rumors, right? We kind of had that already here with Trev Alberts with the basketball team, and it's turned out fine, but I think it's kind of odd to address rumors. There's a lot of talk that within that athletic department, and they've even, addressed the rumors. They've come out and basically it didn't come out one way or the other. They just said they're interested. They're looking into what things are going on. So it does not look pretty for him. Obviously, he had plenty of success coming over from Boise State, which is why he was hired to begin with. But it sometimes, it could be, like you said, at this point, they're kind of looking like maybe they can try to find a spot to fire him without having to pay him out a big lump sum, which right now would be in the category of $18.5 million. So that's quite a lot to do. Might set their program back a few years. But that's always the argument.
Well, because they've already had to let Malzahn. I mean, they already had to touch him up, with a big buyout. So double buyouts would absolutely, like you said, it set you back tremendous amount of years. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, especially in the SEC. I mean, it's so competitive. But that argument always kind of falls on deaf ears to me, because keeping the wrong guy can also set you back 2 to 3 years. So we'll kind of see how it turns out. And kind of try to figure out about some of their donors if they can get that going. But it almost will be awkward at this point if he is coaching moving forward, unless they can come to some sort of conclusion. It just doesn't seem like it's meshing. It seems like an awful fit.
Yeah, there's a guy that writes a column out there from AL.com. His name is John Talty. He basically stated, in a quote, he touched in on it. He said, "Here's what I'm comfortable of saying. There's been a concerted effort to ramp up pressure to make it unattainable for Brian Harsin to return for a second year." He said, and Harsin has provided plenty of ammo for coaching departures to transfer portal exodus, situation moving fast. So that's somebody on the inside that is basically, that kind of takes it a little bit out of speculation for me to a little bit more of that, that's the case. I also, some of the stuff that they're talking about is that a lot of the boosters on the onset didn't feel he was the right guy. So even the more, when you have the ones that support the program or behind the program that already didn't feel that he was the number one guy that they felt strongly about, and then all of a sudden he's that, and then this is all going on, and then the players, once you lose the players, a significant amount of his defensive line jumped into the portal. That's kind of crazy. And then when you have the coaching situations where it makes you say, when you got those types of things going on, guys are making horizontal moves, guys are taking less moves. Lee Hunter, one of their guys that was, making strong, had a strong presence on the defensive line. He leaves Auburn in the SEC to go down here to Florida, USC, UCF. So, we'll talk about Herm, and then we'll say, who we think is going to get the boot, potentially get the boot. So the same thing exists with Herm Edwards, right? Herm Edwards basically, losing season. He basically also, with the NCAA investigations that are going on, he finds himself in a situation with only 5 commitments, and that is the lowest of any Power 5 school, and arguably the most talented team to come through Tempe in years and not realize their full potential. That's what a lot of people are out there saying right now, that, with all the talent that has come through there in that shorter span of time, to not be able to coach them up and not be able to get more production out of them in a down Pac-10, that's something that's not boding well. Now you've got NCAA allegations looming over your head. Now, the one thing that I will say is that I think with that situation, it's easier and it's better and it bodes better for him to get ahead of it. And so that's that, snitch before somebody, snitch before it hits the fan, right? So that's a different situation. So when you're weighing it, you have a situation where allegations pop up after the fact, and then you have a situation where he's getting ahead of it and dumping the trash out before it starts smelling, right? So there's that situation, and there's the balance of those things. What's your take on the Herm Edwards situation?
Well, it doesn't seem well put together, right? I mean, it's a situation now. If you didn't know about the violations, it was for bringing guys in during the COVID dead period, and nobody was allowed to bring people in. They said, well, we're still going to do it. And remember, this is at the height, this is kind of the height of the COVID situation. So
Right.
maybe now you feel a little bit more comfortable going out to your local grocery store or whatever. This was when it was everybody was kind of locking down. So it's interesting from that angle that they've seemed to have moved all the blame to all the assistants. 5 assistants now have been fired off of that staff because of that, in direct relation to that. So you're in one of these situations again, and we've been in them before, where you're told to believe, I suppose, that Herm Edwards was out of the loop, didn't know that this was going on. And that's highly, that's really hard to believe. I don't know if they've directly said that, but I mean, that's kind of, it just looks like they're placing the blame on some other people, including Antonio Pierce, who was a defensive coordinator there, an up-and-coming defensive coordinator. He was the latest to be let go. But it's weird because these moves are happening, after a few weeks. They've been firing different guys. Another thing is one of their even, as far as it goes, their football equipment operations guy was even fired because apparently he was taking money in exchange for equipment within the coaching staff. So
wow,
it's just a complete mess there with Herm. Yet they've talked about recently they've been bringing in different guys as off the field analysts or whatever, former NFL guys like Brian Billick just a couple weeks ago. So I don't know. I think Herm at least feels some sort of support there from the staff, from the athletic department, that he's still trying to piece it together. But I just feel like if you have to fire all the assistants, then maybe the head coach was in on it too.
Yeah, I mean, that is some speculation, and you're absolutely right. I think he's. Let me just ask you this question after I state this point. But Edwards, the athletic director, Ray Anderson, basically told the players on Thursday that Edwards will remain the Sun Devils head coach. Now, here's the crazy thing about that. You got to say that, right? You don't want everybody hightailing it for the transfer portal because of some form of uncertainty, right? There's already some uncertainty. I don't know who's going to be my running backs coach. I don't know who's going to be my receivers coach. I really like the linebacker coach. You already probably got some of those things, and so there has to be some reassurance. Who do you feel out of those two has the most opportunity of going bye-bye for this upcoming season?
I think Harsin. I think, and for what it's worth, Pierce, apparently reading up on it, I want to clear a little bit of it. That was not connected to the NCAA scandal. I mean, he was promoted to defensive coordinator, so it maybe just seems like a mutual parting or something where he's looking for NFL opportunities. Didn't feel, maybe felt like he didn't know whether he was going to have a job next year. So it's time to just move on from that situation. But yeah, I mean, I think that, like I said, it seems to be there's some sort of backing for Herm Edwards in Arizona State. For what it's worth, he's been there a few years. He's had the team in the top 25. He's got a 25-18 record, I believe, overall there. Much better than Brian Harsin's 6-7 year, whatever it was at Auburn, 5-7. I'd have to look it up again to see exactly where it was, but a losing season to start out. And so
6-7, you're right.
6-7, yeah. So I think that's I think that's a better indicator that he's going to stick around. It's just crazy that he's going to make it through it, because I didn't expect it once all this stuff started heating up. But he made it through all the way through the season, and so I think they're going to stick with him. But Harsin, it seems like they're looking for ways to get rid of him rather than ways to keep him. And for Edwards, it looks like they're trying to find reasons to keep him if they can keep him clean rather than get rid of him.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you. I think Harsin's probably the one that I would envision taking a dump in the toilet, getting washed down. The reason being, too, is anytime your president or athletic director and they make a statement via social media or to somebody who has the means of do social media, whether it be an organization, an agency, a paper, or whatever the case may be, whenever you have that, and then his statement is, we have our attorneys looking into the matter a little bit more in depth. I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah.
But I saw it. And they're looking at more, they're looking into the means, and there will be a decision that will be made. Appropriate decision of some sort, right? So that goes to show me that if there's any speck of information where they can add a clause, or it pops into that clause, it looks like they're going to dump him. So they're just trying to evade. They're trying to avoid taking a back-to-back payout situation.
Oh yeah.
So if they can find it, they're gonna. And mind you, them attorneys, they dig into the info. They look and they investigating. They're sitting down with everybody and their mama. And then if they can get one of the players, disgruntled or not, to say I saw it, they're gonna figure out a way. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I heard it. I heard the.
Well, they might
no, because they were saying it was going on in the office. Some people were saying it was happening in the office. So. Maybe they was there late lifting and okay, I'm done.
It's bad enough that Mrs. Harsin took to Instagram to address the rumors. I mean, that's why I just think the situation altogether is just toxic. If I'm even the Harsin family, do I want to stick through, have a bunch of guys sniffing around the athletic department? My family's already been brought into it, especially if it's, not true, then it's like, okay, and it's your first year there. You're just not. It just doesn't seem like to be a very good fit, and who knows if they're gonna have to pay it out or not. I mean, we'll have to see how that turns out. But
I mean, I know.
I'm just saying I've already seen for what it's worth in the Arizona State side as well. But plenty of articles starting to look for the next Auburn coach or what kind of options they have beyond Brian Harsin, because it just doesn't seem like. I mean, it'll be awkward if he's the head coach going into next year with some of the stuff that's come out over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I also too, man. I've been in a situation where there's been rumors. We had that going on with Danny Nee. There was speculation that one of the players ended up getting boosted out because, again, this is rumor. No, we're not saying, but I'm saying this only to say that I understand what it's like when the rumor can start to pan through and a player ends up getting booted. He probably would have been on our team when I was a freshman had this rumor not came out that he was tapping in on Coach Nee's wife. So that thing was out there, and it was so out there that when we played in Missouri, you already know what the Antlers are doing. The Antlers they were going in on that rumor. I mean, it was not even funny. So I know what that's like. It can be detrimental to the team if it, spreads and gets some traction. All right. So let's. I think what we got. We still got a little bit of time. Let's. So let me get your thoughts, man. I mean, I asked the question of Ms. Sherman. I mean, who do you think is some winners and losers in the National Signing Day?
Well, we talked about Arizona State with all the speculations. It's been kind of difficult for them to get going. I think Mitch hit it right on. I mean, Texas A&M's the biggest winner. It might be the best recruiting class of all time. And just this notion from Jimbo that NIL had nothing to do with it is silly, because there's nothing and then it still is. I mean, maybe it's silly on my side to have a complete speculation, but usually if you can't connect the dots, right? Like why is Texas A&M above all these teams that are winning national championships and in where they usually are in the recruiting rankings? Not that Texas A&M is usually bad, but 7 5-stars, that's a new high for them. Is it all just this belief that things are moving in the right direction in College Station? Or, how do you connect those dots? Maybe there's some of the line between the dots has a few money ropes attached to it. So, I mean, I think it's silly to say that it's not. If I was Jimbo, I don't think at this point you have to feel ashamed by it. I think that maybe he's trying to cover his back as far as with the university, you're not supposed to be always directly related to it. But I would instead embrace it, go the other way. Like, talk about the opportunities that are there in College Station. It doesn't make you less of a head coach because you're not recruiting. You're not getting it done just based on recruiting. So I think that's kind of one of the big winners, obviously. Nebraska at least has climbed up there at the end that you could feel like they did pretty well. I mean, I think so far that would probably be my list without diving too deep into some in every conference what they've done. It just kind of goes with the trouble that's off the field or the speculation that's off the field. Usually those teams aren't doing too well in the recruiting. And then there's other teams that are able to do well. I mean, North Carolina is a good example of a winner. That's a team 2 years ago had a really great year. Re-signed Mac Brown this past offseason after a 6 and 7 year. Not great, but they finished in the top 10, still using that momentum from the previous season.
Yeah, I would say the winner for me probably I would have to look at Texas. Surprisingly so. I mean, they're not the Texas team is not supposed to pull off a top 5 recruiting class with a 5-7 record. Again, is this a UIL type of situation that they got that good money that's spread around? But Texas, with the season that they had and was very non top recruiting ish for me. So there has to be something else involved in that. I mean, they were able to pick up some concerns on their offensive line. They had 7 additions there. Some of the top guys that they were able to pull out of that rabbit out of the hat was Kelvin Banks and Devin Campbell. They got a DB named Terrence Brooks, and he's going to be a strong addition for them in that secondary. And so, it's going to be interesting to see what he's able to pull out. He had some good success this year, and getting ahead of the SEC move, this may bode well for him. If he can pull off a winning season after pulling the rabbit out of the hat for this one, I think could be okay for them. What about losers for you?
Yeah, just before we get that done, I didn't want to oversight as well. Oklahoma, with everything that was going on between them. I mean, they lost a lot of the players on the roster, still able to finish with a top 10 class. Michigan, the same thing. Their coach is out, taking interviews on signing day. Yet they're still able to have a top 10 class. Some of the teams that aren't normally up there in the top 15, Indiana, a top 15 class. That's definitely a big win for them. All these rankings according to Rivals, but they're kind of pretty close depending on the site that you go to. Arizona has had a historically bad year. They still were able to get a 5-star and finish with a top 20 class. So a lot of schools doing pretty well to do that. For a lot of the teams that ended up being losers, it's like it's tough to look through because it's Nebraska. It's Nebraska's problem, right? A lot of them have short classes, so that kind of hurts your overall stock. Virginia Tech didn't do necessarily good as they normally do. They're tied with Nebraska, but they have 6 more guys, not a 4-star in the class for them. You look at some of the bigger classes that missed out. A lot of the teams, once you kind of go down the line, it's just those smaller classes. But like Kansas State finishing 60th, Kansas and Kansas State both at the bottom of the Big 12, and maybe that's not surprising geographically, but Iowa State was number 3 in the Big 12. They're a team that historically can struggle, and obviously they've had the wins on the field that have helped that out. But I think those are some of the general thoughts that I have there. And by the way, it's always fun also too to run through Army's recruiting class, obviously, because we know kind of the dynamic that goes there. I don't know if this is a misprint, but they have. I'm gonna look it up because it says they have 88 new recruits. So I don't know.
That's a team and a half.
That's a big class right there.
That's a brigade. That's a brigade. That's an Army unit. I mean, what is going on?
I didn't notice that until I just looked at it. I'm gonna look into that now. That's pretty cool.
Oh yeah. Well, on the way out the door for the break, I think Florida State maybe was a loser. The reason being is that if they're going to get anywhere near the top of the ACC again, and the ACC is not a top-of-the-line conference as it used to be. Mike Norville, he thought he was on track, this December, looking at a top 10 potential class, getting the overall number 1 prospect in Travis Hunter, who then Deion Sanders swoops in from cornerback, and then starts stepping on him all the way to the end zone and lands him there at Jackson State. So that was a crazy deal. I got a mosquito in here. I need to kill him. He dead. Yeah, he needed to die. I didn't want him sneak. I didn't want him doing like Deion did to Mike Norville down there in Florida State.
Yeah.
In the middle of the night, he's sneaking some blood out me and taking my player. But yeah, man. But overall, they didn't do too bad. They did finish inside the top 20 overall, but obviously he would have looked to be better. I think that was a big loss for him because other commitments also that they'd hoped or got pledges from fell through. So they could have been way better. I thought that might have been a little loss for me. So we're going to take a break right now. We're going to come back for the last segment. Remember, we're leaving a little bit early tonight, and we're going to talk a little bit about Braun and Brawny. And when we come back after this on The Block.
Southeast Community College has learning centers in Falls City, Hebron, Nebraska City, Plattsmouth, Wahoo, and York so that you can take credit and non-credit classes at a center nearby without having to travel an hour or more to campus. By taking online classes and those at a learning center, you can earn your degree from SEC where and when it's convenient for you, all at a cost that won't stand in the way of your education. Learn more about SCC's learning centers at southeast.edu/learning centers. SCC, your path to possible.
Your home is your empire. Protect it with Empire Fence. Get a free instant quote with the online estimating tool at empire-fence.com. See an upfront estimate with no hidden fees. An Empire Fence can provide privacy and improve the appearance of your home. Keep kids and pets in or out of your yard. Increase security and add value to your property. Visit empire-fence.com now to view the stylish and maintenance-free possibilities for your home and get a free instant online quote. Let Empire Fence protect your empire.
Hey, ticket listeners, it's Military Night on Saturday at the Icebox as we honor the countless men and women that have served our country. The Stars play Omaha at 6:05 and stick around after the game for a jersey auction benefiting Nebraska Warriors. Get your tickets to Military Night on Saturday at LincolnStars.com. That's LincolnStars.com.
You need a place to watch the big game, but you don't want to host at your place, and you don't know what friend's house to invite yourself over to. Join 93.7 The Ticket at Buffalo Wings and Rings at 68th and O for Bengals Rams and enjoy great food and drink, plus the chance to win great prizes. If you simply show up, you'll have a chance to win free prizes. You just have to be there when your ticket is called. What's better than great food, drinks, and prizes? Hang with us for the big game on Sunday, February 13th at Buffalo Wings and Rings, 68th and O.
Action Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Electric always makes safety a top priority for our home and office. In under just 1 hour, their team installed the state-of-the-art air scrubber system directly into our existing HVAC ductwork. This technology purifies the air and reduces exposure to common bacteria and viruses, creating a safer breathing environment for my family. Action delivers honest quality services we can count on. To learn more, visit actionlincoln.com.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Partly to mostly sunny skies, a little windy here for our Friday. We can see northwest winds gusting over 30. We'll top out near 32. Overnight clear with a low dropping down to around 12. A nice warm-up for our Saturday. An afternoon high of 49. Southwest winds gusting to 25. I'm meteorologist Tim Wright for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Hi, this is Sean Callahan with Koppel Chevrolet GMC. New vehicle production has been increasing, but the lots will not be filling up anytime soon. In fact, most vehicles are being pre-sold and are leaving the same week as they arrive. If you want your new Chevrolet or GMC, this is a great time to build a vehicle and place an order. Our sales team will work right with you to build the exact vehicle you want. At Koppel, we appreciate your business and sell vehicles at a fair price. So come check us out or visit us online at koppelcars.com.
Landmark Implement, your local John Deere dealership, is hosting their annual planter clinic at the Adams County Fairgrounds in Hastings, Nebraska, February 23rd and 24th. Landmark's planter clinic offers expansive equipment training and important information on new and updated technology for this planting season. Learn more about AMS documentation and guidance, row unit and meter settings, and soil moisture monitoring options. Join us February 23rd and 24th in Hastings, RSVP by calling your local Landmark.
Back to On the Block with Strick and Bach on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Wrapping up things here on the block with our daily segment of Hitting the Hardwood. We bring you some of the latest topics here from the association, from the NBA, and some of the stuff that is going on. Like I said earlier, there was a bit of a trade today that was kind of cool. We won't hit on that too much again, but if you like the NBA, it was kind of a cool trade. Norman Powell being the biggest piece of the puzzle, I suppose, heading over to the Clippers, who are trying to boost some of their pieces to try to get it going, because they beat the Lakers last night in a really good game, but neither of those teams above 500, both clinching to those final time of play-in type of positions right now. in the NBA standings. So we'll see what they can do moving forward. But the kind of the more interesting thing is that LeBron James is still planning. He said it the other day, still planning on playing with his son Bronny in the NBA. Bronny, for what it's worth, is a class of 2023 high school class. We've seen some guys move up and try to get into a different class distinction. So that's
2024. 2024. Yeah,
okay, so
LeBron's contract ends, and LeBron's contract ends with the ends also. I think his last season is 2023. 2024 season. I think it works out to where it's both, but I think he's a 2024 kid, so he'll be able to be eligible for that return to the draft where they're able to draft out of high school. But yeah.
Okay, he would be. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, because otherwise, you kind of think maybe he's got scholarships from everybody. I mean, the who's who, and why wouldn't you? Obviously, Duke, UCLA, Kansas, all those. We'll see if he does that. Maybe goes the G League route, or kind of what you're saying. If he waits it out and is able to go directly from high school, for what it's worth, too, there's a pretty good possibility he will have that opportunity. Obviously, not just being LeBron James's son, but he is ranked as the 34th best recruit in that class. He's dropped a little bit, but that's it's not like they're just saying, well, he's LeBron James' son, so put him in there. He's had to earn it. He's got to be. We know from Michael Jordan's sons, you don't necessarily just rise to the top and get to go to Duke or North Carolina or whatever if just because of your relationship there. But interestingly enough, and we also know that sometimes the 34th best recruit never has a sniff at the NBA, so that's always a possibility as well. But you would think with his connections, he'll get the benefit of the doubt. Maybe somewhat like LiAngelo Ball there, who's had some opportunities. I don't know if he would have if he was not a Ball. But in any case,
I think LiAngelo is actually better than most people think he is.
He might be.
I think
He didn't get much
better than most people think he is.
He could be. He never really got the shot to start off.
Yeah, I will say this. Well, I think LiAngelo's situation's a situation of where his dad had pumped and primed, all of my boys are going to the league, they're all that good, blah. And then you have, the older Ball who comes in, starts a little slow. Now he's really not that premier top tier type guy, but he's a relevant guy. Yeah. But then the younger Ball comes in and he's doing his thug thizzle and he's getting it done. And so he looks like he's primed to be that. And then and then LiAngelo, he comes in and they're basically, it's kind of like a stick it to the ball type situation. I think that's what's going on. We ain't letting him in because we don't want the Ball, LeVar, the daddy, to be right, type of thing. So we let him in, we let him get close, let him sniff it, but we don't want to let him in. So
yeah,
I think he's got a burner on him, bro. I really do. He's got a burner. He's probably got the best burner on him than any of the brothers. But I don't think he's the most athletic of the brothers, but I think he's got a burner on him. Now, the Bronny situation, I'm just gonna ask you one question. You ready? Mm-hmm. I get to ask the question now.
That's
this isn't hitting the hardware where you sneaking leaking me on these questions. I'm gonna sneak one on you. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. You've seen high school players come out and go straight to the league, correct?
Yep.
Is he Kobe-ish? Is he KG-ish? Is he a beast like Eddie Curry-ish? Is he Jermaine O'Neal-ish?
Oh, yeah.
I just want to answer. I just named 4 right there. I could go more, but there was some busts in there. I'm not going to say even Kwame Brown was a bust. I don't think he was. I think he had a successful. Do you think he's what you've seen on film of him right now? Do you think he's any of that?
I don't think so, from what I've seen, but I haven't. I have to admit, I haven't looked at it as closely as I probably would need to have a great opinion on it. But like you said, you don't have to necessarily be that guy. Sebastian Telfair gets raked through the coals for not living up to being an NBA All-Star. But he's still a 10-year NBA vet or so. I mean, that's fine if you want to go straight from high school, collect your money right away, go ahead and do it. I'm interested to see if Bronny would be overdrafted to try to recruit LeBron. And I think that that's certainly a possibility, even if he's not that level. At that time, though, LeBron will be quite aged, but still, ticket sales, all that stuff, will definitely the momentum that you have bringing in Bronny will already do a lot, but LeBron would add another dimension to it.
Well, I mean, I don't know if I'll go that far. I think LeBron on the way out the door, he may go to a good team, but I don't think a good team's going to take Bronny on that type of situation. I'm talking about wasting a draft pick on that situation. Maybe second round. Get him in the door, see what he can do. But that's going to be interesting. I don't know if I would waste a first round draft pick on Bronny. Yeah. From what I've seen in his junior year right now, he's nothing what I've seen.
He's got time to improve, but you're right. I mean, he doesn't jump off the tape kind of like LaMelo Ball did back in the day. But that'll wrap it up for us here on the block. We're going to send it out to Nick. He's live for the East and Pius doubleheader tonight between the girls and the boys. So stick around. That'll be just right around the corner. But that'll do it for this week. Signing off on the block.
Action Plumbing